Of all the myriad of guns out on the market made by the dozens and dozens of manufacturers, some guns are excellent, some guns are pretty okay, and some are just rough. And then you have these guns, the guns that are only theoretically better than no gun at all. Okay, I exaggerate slightly. I'd be wayward if I ever advocated someone go unarmed when they could have had some gun. Any gun instead. I don't begrudge anyone who has an inferior gun. I'm not an elitist. But I have seen enough frustration and failure among people dealing with those inferior guns that I don't want to see that happen to anyone else if practicable. Whether you're in the market for your very first gun or a new addition to your stable, take a look at this dirty half dozen or so guns that you don't want to get saddled with. 25 ACPs of any kind. Simply stated, the 25 ACP is among the worst performing handgun cartridges. Across most loads, even the smaller 22LR is a better and more consistent performer. As a dedicated defensive handgun, the 25 has no home. Cartridges on either side of it are better in every regard. In guns that are the same size, larger, or smaller. Worse, it seems that most of the worst guns on the market today seem to chamber this runty underachiever. Now, there are high-quality 25s out there, designed and produced by Beretta, Browning, CZ, and many other good manufacturers. But the best launcher in the world will not make this round a better performer. My advice on the 25 ACP is this. Don't get one for absolutely anything else but a deep concealment hideout option. And that is only if a better gun in a different caliber cannot be had in the same size class. A 25 is certainly dangerous, but you'll rarely be forced into one if you care to shop around. Pistol grip only shotguns. The current darling product among long gun purchasers are the new breed of non-NFA shorty rifles and shotguns, a concept popularized by the introduction of Mossberg's Shockwave and Remington's TAC-14. Since then, a flurry of similar concepts have rocketed to the market. ARs, AKs, G3s, and everything in between. The appeal of a short, nimble shotgun that brings the power of a 12-gauge to bear in close quarters is certainly appealing, and being able to purchase it with no permission slips, tax stamps, extortionary fees, and the like to deal with is a huge perk. But even so, sadly, they are rarely the best choice for defense. I'll be right up front with it. There is nothing mechanically wrong with these guns, and they are reliable and certainly effective should you hit with them. They pattern well and give up surprisingly little velocity compared to their longer-barreled brethren. The problem is all in the wrist, you might say. These guns are grindingly difficult to shoot well without lots and lots of practice, even at social space distances. When you cannot get most folks to practice with a fully stocked shotgun long enough to attain proficiency, why should you expect them to put in the extra work required to tame a scattergun that is even harder to shoot? But that is an idea. Legally adding a pistol brace to one of the 14-inch guns will result in a capable and quick shotgun that can perform admirably as a defensive gun. Derringers. It is important to point out here that when I say Derringer, I am not referring to any small handgun or pocket pistol as they are sometimes erroneously classed. I'm talking about twin-barreled, break-action handguns that are shockingly still popping up in holsters of too many people for self-defense. I have no doubt that part of their appeal is their mystique that harkens back to the glorious and bloody days of the Old West, but that is where these guns should stay, in the past. Derringers of any caliber, including the 410 shotgun shell versions, have nothing to commend them for self-defense. Single-action operation, atrocious ergonomics, and a clumsy manual of arms married to worst in class capacity. Even the finest examples ever made, the modern Bond arm guns, which are made with high-quality materials and expert craftsmanship, are still inheritors of all their design flaws. You might have a case for one of these as a highly compact and relatively lightweight gun that can fire a 410 load of small shot specifically for snake defense. But that is all. As a primary or backup gun against human attackers, these are a non-starter. Avoid. Lousy AK variants. There exists among a significant portion of Kalashnikov fans the belief that an AK, any AK, is inherently reliable. That this is due to the divine inspiration of its creator or some unutterable sorcery they are curiously hesitant to mention. The AK's design being fairly adaptable to a lower level of precision manufacture than, say, an AR does nothing but bolster this belief. Now, the AK is a fine rifle and excellent design, but even it is not immune from being made so poorly that it barely qualifies as a rifle alone. While you might say the AK's acclaim is ascendant lately with several companies offering rifles of bespoke quality, in years past and even today, there were and are AKs commercially offered that were made so shoddily, assembled so haphazardly, they were hardly fit to be called guns at all. If you're looking at AKs near the bottom of the price bracket, anywhere from $350 to $450, you need to be very cautious. Manufacturers of such cheap rifles often use slapdash methods for assembling foreign part kits bought for pennies on the dollar, and these guns will suffer from crap fitment, absent or improper heat treating, and a host of other maladies. One of the worst offenders is IO Inc., who prior to the end of the Obama presidency was shoveling out some of the worst rifles I've ever laid hands on. There are halfway decent AK variants that don't cost an arm and a leg, but you must not convince yourself that you can get a silk purse for a sow's ear just because it is an AK. Mini revolver. I want to like these cool, well-made little single actions, but I just can't. Somehow, these tiny little things remain popular, and I just can't figure out why. Take a revolver that is hardly bigger than an old click-top lighter. Now, make it single action. Yeah. Now, give it a spur trigger. All right. And now, make it so you have to disassemble the gun to load and unload. Super. We are all set here. Like Bond Arms Derringers I mentioned earlier, NAA makes good quality firearms. Like the Bond Arms Derringers, these guns suffer from a design so niche, so specialized, that they enter the realm of irrelevancy. The NAA mini revolvers are further hampered by a prickly manual of arms that you had better not screw up. If the shooter fails to place the tiny hammer in an equally tiny halfway notch between chambers, the firing pin will be resting dangerously on the primer of a live cartridge. Yes, the designers accounted for this with the notch, but no thank you, not on something this tiny. Maybe there is a single specific precious situation where this is an ideal weapon, but for the life of me, I cannot think of one. If you've found success with these little things, please let me know in the comments.